What's up, guys? Greetings from Houston, Texas. Mike here, coming at you from AT Astro, Era of Truth Aspect and Relationship Astrology. And today, we're talking about the inconjunct aspect, also known as the quincunx, and why it is not a minor aspect. Okay, so the inconjunct aspect is an aspect that's formed between two planets that are 150 degrees apart. You can usually find it on the natal chart or in synastry or the composite, as evidenced by a dotted green line that goes from one planet to the next. And usually the orb is very tight for the inconjunct aspect, 3 degrees at the most. And when we see two planets forming an inconjunct aspect, for instance, in the natal chart, it's the energies of two planets that are being forced to communicate with each other, but they have absolutely nothing in common. It's like sticking two people in a room together and forcing them to interact, but they just don't have a damn thing to talk about. So, whenever you see the inconjunct aspect, specifically for now in the natal chart, you're looking at an individual that's having an extremely difficult time aligning the qualities of those two planets that are making that conversation. Like, for instance, you see somebody with Mars inconjunct the Sun. That's an individual whose ego drives and their sense of self are constantly at odds, and it can actually create an individual that has an extreme fear of being taken advantage of. Also, the interesting thing about the inconjunct aspect is, unlike the square is a hard aspect. Individuals tend to work out the issues associated with that aspect relatively early in life, like before the age of 30. They tend to sort of get a grasp on that. Inconjunct aspects, people with those hard aspects in their chart, they don't figure out a way to get those two sides in line until usually way later, sometimes into their 50s. In synastry, inconjunct aspects are absolutely atrocious. They suck. They really suck. If you do a synastry overlay between you and another individual, and you're seeing a lot of those green dotted lines point between personal planets, you got a problem. They are definitely not unsurmountable, but they are definitely going to require a bit of adjustment. For instance, let's say person A has their moon in Leo, inconjunct person B's Uranus in Capricorn, both at 6 degrees. The Uranus side of that individual, their sense of freedom, is always going to disturb and have a very difficult effect on the moon person. The moon person is not going to feel secure. The moon person can even make the Uranus person feel trapped in by their habitual emotional needs. However, because that aspect is so hard, and it's like having a rock in your shoe type hard, it does force both people to compromise over time. And the cool thing about the inconjunct aspect in synastry is there is true love that can be found from overcoming these challenges in a relationship, because it is really forcing somebody to go way outside of their comfort zone to understand the other individual. So, I mean, they suck, they're terrible, but they can definitely be overcome, and they're definitely something to be watched out for. Also, inconjunct aspects forming in the progress chart, specifically from the moon, because it moves so fucking fast, are definitely something to be noticed, because the inconjunct aspect is so easily felt that like an inconjunct aspect made from like the moon to Neptune, you know, issues of projection are going to pop up for that period of time in that individual's life. And it's going to be very, very noticeable, especially from the outside, because, you know, Neptune's such a nebulous energy. So just never take that aspect for granted. Never ignore it in the natal chart. It's not a Ptolemaic aspect, but from my observations, I've seen it to be very, very telling. So I hope this was helpful. I do offer consultations. Just feel free to get a hold of me. We'd be happy to work something out. And until next time, guys.